The stars were peaceful that night above the mining colony of Vayon 6. No. One saw the enemy ships hiding behind the dark side of the nearest moon. The people lived under the illusion that peace was permanent. Even the guards at the main gate were half asleep. Ilara stood alone in the comms tower, adjusting the frequency band on her scanner. She was only half listening. Her eyes were drawn to the quiet sky and the gentle lights of the city below. Then something flickered, a signal, unidentified, no code. No origin. She leaned closer, tapping commands fast. Her screen glitched for a moment, then stabilized. A red triangle pulsed on the monitor. It was heading straight toward the colony. Fast, she opened her mouth to speak into the mic, but by the time her voice reached security, it was already too late. The first strike wasn't a bomb, it was a sound. A low, vibrating tone that shattered every glass window on the east wall. People screamed as lights burst and alarms failed to activate. The air shook. Buildings cracked. Then came the real fire. Ships fell from the sky like arrows, cutting through the night with white-hot engines. They landed with crushing force, shaking the ground as troops poured out in waves, tall figures in dark, glistening armor. Not machines, not entirely organic. Something else. Something new. Commander Rilo sprinted through the hallways of the outpost bunker. He didn't even have time to put on full armor, just the core plating and a rifle. Civilians were already being pushed into shelters. But there were too many of them, and the enemy was too fast. At the gate, Sergeant Hiley tried to hold the line. He fired round after round, but their armor absorbed everything. His squad fell one by one. Blood on the metal floor. He saw a strange shape moving through the smoke, a tall blue figure. A woman. She wasn't shooting. She walked calmly, her robes flowing like mist behind her. Her eyes glowed with eerie calmness, and a mark shone on her forehead. Hale pointed his rifle at her, fingers trembling. But something about her presence made him freeze. He didn't understand why. The woman looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then she raised one hand slowly. Not in threat, but almost like a greeting. Hale's radio crackled. He heard Allura's voice shouting for backup, but he couldn't move. He felt like time had slowed down. Then the ground split open as one of the enemy mechs smashed through the wall. The blue woman turned without fear and faced it. She whispered something strange. Her voice was soft but filled with power. And then the mech shut down instantly, falling to its knees like a puppet with cut strings. Hale stared. The woman walked past him, toward the inner compound. He turned to follow. Not to attack, but to understand. She could have killed him. But didn't. That made no sense. Nothing about this made sense. Inside the tower, Ilara watched the battle unfold on broken monitors. She saw entire squads being wiped out, systems shutting down. Then she saw the blue woman on camera, walking alone. Her name tag said Nayeli. The records showed no such identity in the enemy logs. Ilara transmitted a message across all surviving channels. A single order: do not engage the blue-robed figure. All efforts are to evacuate civilians. The strange woman was not acting like the rest. She was calm, unarmed, and seemed to be searching for something. Outside, the burning city lit up the sky. Fires raged across the rooftops, smoke covered the stars. Screams echoed. The colony's defenses had fallen in less than 10 minutes. Vayon 6 was no longer a peaceful outpost. It had become the center of something far greater. Rylos finally reached the command platform. He connected to the last satellite feed, hoping for instructions from Earth Command. But there was only silence. The enemy had jammed the long range signal. No backup was coming. No help, just static and fire. Then a strange transmission broke through. A low voice, not human, but speaking near-perfect English. "We do not seek war," the voice said. "We seek the key. You have it. Surrender, and fewer will suffer. but no one knew what the key was, or who had it. Suddenly, a child's scream echoed through the north alley. Holly ran toward it, rifle ready. He found a young girl, trapped under rubble, crying. One of the dark armored aliens approached. But before it reached her, the blue woman stepped in front of it. The alien stopped. The woman looked back at Holly and nodded toward the girl. He rushed in and pulled her out. Number. Words passed between them, but the message was clear. The woman wasn't here to destroy everything. She had a different mission. Ilara finally left the tower and joined Holly on the ground. She looked at the blue-skinned woman closely. There were tears on her cheeks. Not of fear, but of loss. Ilara stepped closer. "Who are you?" she asked. The woman didn't answer. She simply pointed at the girl. Rylos arrived moments later, gun raised, unsure what to do. Then the blue woman placed her hand on her chest and spoke in a slow, melodic language. Her voice didn't match the violence around them. It sounded ancient, beautiful, and full of sorrow. Holly stepped forward. "What is she saying?" Ilara whispered. "I don't know," Holly replied. "But I think she's not trying to kill us. She's trying to talk to us." And that was the moment he made a choice. He lowered his rifle. He extended a hand toward her. The woman looked at his hand, confused. Then she mirrored the gesture and touched his palm with her own. A strange light flickered between their skin. Rylo shouted for him to stop, but it was too late. Something ancient had just been activated, and the war was no longer just about land or power. The moment her hand touched his, the air around them pulsed with energy. A soft blue glow wrapped around their fingers, humming low like a whisper only the earth could hear. Everyone nearby froze, watching with wide eyes as two beings from opposite worlds made contact without fear. Holly didn't move. Neither did she. The blue-skinned girl kept her eyes locked on his. They stood like that for seconds, maybe longer. The heat of the battle still raged behind them, but in that circle of light, it felt silent, safe, and unexplainable. Commander Rylos took a cautious step forward, rifle still in hand. "Is it a trap?" he asked. No one answered. Ilara stood at his side, shaking her head slowly. "No," she whispered. "It's something else. I think it's a bond, a message. Maybe a warning." The blue woman blinked, then gently pulled her hand back. The glow faded, but something remained. Holly looked down and saw a small glowing mark now burned into the back of his palm. A symbol, the same one that shimmered on the girl's forehead. She looked at the mark, then back into his eyes. She spoke again, this time a longer phrase. The sound was soft, melodic, and full of meaning. Holly didn't understand the words, but he understood her tone. She wasn't angry. She wasn't commanding. She was pleading. A group of the enemy soldiers appeared behind her, their weapons raised. But when they saw the woman's hand raised in the air, they stopped. They did not attack. They waited, as if they too were waiting for her approval. She was not one of them. She was above them. Ilara stepped forward carefully. "Can you speak our language?" she asked. The alien girl turned her head slowly, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. She frowned slightly, trying to form a reply. Then she shook her head once, slowly. "She doesn't know how," Holly said. "She's trying to talk, but we're not hearing the right part. Maybe she needs help to say it right." Ilara's fingers moved quickly over her portable scanner. "We have some universal translators left," she said. "If I can patch it into her voice, maybe we can understand her. Maybe even talk back." Rylos wasn't convinced. "You want to give her tech? In the middle of a war zone? She could be tricking us. She could have killed us," Halle said firm. "She didn't. She protected that girl. And she marked me. That symbol means something. Maybe this whole invasion isn't what we thought." Ilara attached the translator node gently to the alien girl's robe. The woman flinched at first, then allowed it. Lights blinked on the device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her voice came through, soft but clear. "I did not come for war," she said, her eyes serious. "I came for the bond, the soldiers." Around them exchanged glances. "What bond?" Rilos asked. "What do you mean by bond? Why attack the colony?" The woman looked down at Hale's marked hand. "You carry the sign," she said. "It was hidden among your kind. We only seek its return. Our forces do not follow me, they follow command. I came alone. I found you instead." Ilara's voice trembled. "Then why did they attack us? Why all this destruction?" "Because they are blind," the woman said. "Their leader thinks the key was stolen. He searches by fire. I came by light." Hale's eyes narrowed. "So this isn't an invasion, it's a search," the woman nodded. "A desperate one. If they do not find what they seek, they will burn every world until they do. I wanted to stop them. I tried. But I am only one voice." "Then what now?" Rilos asked. "Do we hand over this key? Do we know what it is?" The woman shook her head. "The key is not metal, not a weapon. It is life. It is blood. It is within him now." They all looked at Hale again. He took a step back. "What do you mean within me? I don't have anything. I'm just a soldier." "You are not just anything," she said. "You are chosen. My mark awakened it. That is why I touched you." The girl's voice softened. "And that is why they will come for you. You must leave this place. If you stay, they will take you. And they will kill all who stand with you." Ilara looked at the horizon. Enemy ships were forming a circle around the city. The sky was no longer black, it was red and pulsing. Time was running out. Rilos made a quick decision. "We evacuate," he said. "Non-combatants first, then we move underground. Ilara, keep the alien with you. If she's telling the truth, she's our only chance to stop this war." The woman stepped beside Hale again. "I will protect you," she said, "even from my own kind. But you must trust me." Hale stared at her glowing eyes. "What's your name?" he asked. She placed her hand on her chest and spoke one word, Sayari. The name echoed strangely in the translator, as if layered with meanings. Ilara wrote it down in her log. Sayari. "Got it." The ground trembled as another shockwave hit the outer gate. The enemy was closing in. But now the humans had something the invaders didn't expect: a bond, a warning, and the key hidden inside one of their own. As they ran toward the underground tunnels, Sayari stayed close to Hale, and even though the sky burned and metal giants marched through fire, a strange calm filled the air around them. The war had started with confusion, but now the real battle had a name. The tunnels beneath Veon 6 were never meant for war. They were built for miners, not soldiers. Narrow, dark, and barely lit by emergency lights, they echoed with hurried footsteps and panicked whispers. The people moved fast, guided by the few soldiers still able to fight. Sayari walked in silence, her robe trailing behind her. Her presence drew eyes, but no one dared to question her now. She walked beside Hale as if it was her duty, as if his safety was the only mission that mattered. Ilara walked ahead with a small scanner in her hand. "These tunnels lead to the old transport shafts," she said. "If we reach them before the upper layers collapse, we can escape through." The cargo lifts. Rilos followed at the rear, watching for movement behind them. Every few minutes, the ground rumbled. Distant crashes told them the city was still being torn apart above. Sayari touched the wall with her fingers, humming softly under her breath. The symbols on her skin pulsed gently. Hale watched her, still, unsure what she truly was. Her touch seemed to calm the shaking around them. "She's stabilizing the tunnel," Ilara whispered. "Somehow, she's using energy I can't even scan. It's not tech. It's something alive." Sayari looked back. "The bond connects to the earth," she said. "The key must survive." If the path breaks, he dies. Rylos raised an eyebrow. You keep calling it a key, but what is it? What does Halle have that they want so badly? Sayari placed her hand near Hale's chest, just over his heart. There is a pulse inside him, she said. Not blood, not code. It is a pattern. Very old. It awakens when touched by one who remembers. You mean you? Halle asked. She nodded slowly. Yes, my people were guardians once. We held peace and balance, until the bond was broken. Until we lost it. Now, they believe force is the only way to reclaim it, but I remembered the old way. I remembered the touch. Rylos shook his head. This sounds like a myth. We're soldiers, not prophets. Are we really running because of an ancient fairy tale? Sayari met his eyes. Then why has your world burned the moment the mark appeared? My people believe in what they can destroy. You must believe in what you can feel. Alara stopped in front of a sealed bulkhead. This door leads to the elevator shafts, she said. But it needs a master override. The system's fried. Sayari stepped forward, placed her palm on the door, and closed her eyes. Her markings lit up again. A soft hum filled the space, and the metal door unlocked with a hiss. Everyone stepped back as it slid open. I'm starting to believe her, Alara whispered. The lift shaft was deep. A cold wind rose from below. They stepped onto the platform one by one. Halle and Sayari stood at the center. As the lift began its slow descent, the colony's pain echoed behind them. Alara looked down at her scanner. There's movement below, she said, but it's not alien. It's human signatures. A lot of them. Survivors? Rylos asked. No, Alara said. It's the lower sector. The outcasts. They were locked away after the riots too. Years ago, we never cleared them out. Sayari looked alarmed. If they are touched by the mark's pulse, it will spread. Chaos follows the signal. You must prepare. What kind of chaos? Halle asked. Sayari stared into the dark. The bond is life. But life uncaged is wild. They will feel what you feel. And they will not understand it. The elevator reached the lower platform with a loud clang. As the doors opened, dozens of figures turned to look. Men and women in torn clothing, eyes wide, faces marked by years of anger and fear. They were armed with crude weapons and desperation. One of them stepped forward. Soldiers, he said. We thought you left us to die. Rylos stepped out first, hands raised. We didn't come to fight. We're escaping too. Another man pointed at Sayari. What is that? Is she one of them? She's not your enemy, Halle said. She's helping us. She's the reason we're still alive. But already. The crowd was shifting. Murmurs spread fast. Some of the outcasts looked at Hale's glowing mark. One woman fell to her knees, whispering something. Others followed. A wave of emotion passed through them. Sayari looked pained. They feel the call, she said, but they do not know how to carry it. If we stay here too long, they will break. A man rushed forward, eyes burning. Give us the girl, he shouted. She brought this curse. We saw the sky burn when she came. Halle stepped in front of her. You'll have to go through me first. The crowd grew louder. Some cried, some begged. Others raised weapons. Rylos barked orders. Alara pulled Halle back. We can't fight all of them. We need to get out now. Sayari placed both hands on the ground. A ring of blue light expanded around her. The outcasts stopped moving. Silence fell again. The sound of their breathing echoed like thunder. I will carry the pain, she said. Do not blame him. He is the key. Not the cause. The lift controls blinked red. Time was short. Rylos made the call. Take the secondary shaft. Move. Fast. If they follow, we seal the gate behind us. The team ran, dodging hands and cries. Some of the outcasts tried to follow. Others stayed, stunned by what they had seen. Sayari looked back one last time. Her eyes filled with sorrow. Halle took her hand. Don't look. We did what we could. She nodded once, and they vanished into the tunnel beyond the broken world. The tunnel sloped downward for nearly a kilometer, carved from old rock and half-flooded in places. Water dripped from the ceiling. Emergency lights blinked weakly along the walls. The group moved in silence, tired but alert. Sayari's glow dimmed as she walked. Her eyes were focused forward, as if following something no one else could see. Halle kept close beside her, one hand near his weapon. He didn't know what waited ahead, but he knew she was guiding them for a reason. Behind them, Rilo scanned the motion detector every few minutes. Nothing followed them yet, but the outcasts above wouldn't stay frozen forever. The bond may have stopped their hands, but fear could still drive them into chaos. Alara paused by an old sign barely hanging from the wall. It was rusted and burned, but one word was still readable: core. Her voice was quiet. We're heading into the reactor zone. Radiation shouldn't be lethal if we stay under 30 minutes. Sayari turned her head slightly. The pulse is stronger here. The ground remembers this place. The key is waking. Hale's chest tightened. What happens if it wakes fully? Sayari looked at him. Then you will no longer be human alone. You will be something more. And the galaxy will notice. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber, filled with broken machines and exposed pipes. Blue light shimmered faintly along the floor as if following their steps. Alara checked her device and pointed to a sealed vault door. This is it, she said. Power core backup chamber. We can rest here. The blast walls are thick. We'll be safe while I run scans. Rylos and 2 soldiers took up guard near the entrance. Halle and Sayari stepped inside. The chamber was cold, with metal walls covered in old writing and warning signs. Sayari walked to the center and knelt on the floor without a word. She placed her hands flat on the ground. The glowing mark on her forehead pulsed. Halle stepped closer but didn't interrupt. He could feel the vibration in the air, not from machines but from her. She was singing, not with words, but with energy. Alara tapped on her scanner. The entire chamber is reacting to her. It's like the walls recognize her voice. Or maybe the pattern inside Halle is amplifying her signal. Suddenly, a panel near the far wall flickered to life. An old holographic projector blinked on, and static filled the room. Then an image formed: a man in a white uniform, his face lined with age. His voice crackled through. If you're seeing this, then the bond has returned. And the key is no longer in hiding. This message is for the Kevi, one who carries the mark. You are not alone. You were never meant to fight without guidance. This facility was built to awaken your path. Everyone froze. Even Rilo stepped inside to see it. Sayari kept her head bowed. Her voice was softer now. This was one of the last beacons. Your kind built them during the first rift, before the worlds forgot. The hologram continued. The invaders are not your true enemy. The enemy is silence. The enemy is forgetting what the bond means. If you understand this message, then make your way to the cradle. The final piece lies there. The image vanished. The chamber returned to stillness. Halle looked at Sayari. Where is the cradle? She opened her eyes slowly. Deep beneath. Your oceans, hidden in silence. Guarded by those who no longer remember why they stand watch. Rilo shook his head. So now we have to dive into unknown waters while being hunted by an alien army. Yes, Sayari replied calmly. Because if you do not reach it first, they will. And once they have it, nothing will stop them from rewriting every memory in the stars. Ilara nodded. Then we have no time to waste. We'll route a ship and go dark. There's an old landing pad 2 levels below. If the systems still work, we can lift off in 10 minutes. Sayari rose from the floor. Her glow faded again, replaced by a deep sadness in her eyes. This place held part of me. Now that it is gone, only pain remains. We must leave it behind. Holly touched the back of his hand. The mark was warmer now, like it had a pulse of its own. I don't feel like myself anymore, he said. You are still yourself, Sayari said. But now you are also more. You are the voice of something old. And it is listening again. Suddenly, the walls shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Alara's scanner blared. They found us. Incoming signatures. Not outcasts. These are enemy forces, Rylos raised. His rifle. We hold the line. Everyone else gets to the lift. No arguments. Sayari looked at Hale. If you die here, the bond dies with you. You must go. Now, Hale said. You're coming with me. All of you are. We don't split. Not. Again, they ran toward the exit. Gunfire echoed behind them. The enemy was already pouring into the tunnel. Rylos and his squad turned and returned fire. One soldier was hit, dropping to the floor with a grunt. The rest didn't stop, Sayari. Reached the lift panel first and pressed her palm against it. The doors opened. She pulled Holly inside. Alara followed, dragging a wounded soldier. Rylos was the last to jump in as the lift rose with a roar. As the platform climbed, Sayari closed her eyes again. Her voice rose once more, singing that strange song without words. This time, the walls didn't light up. Instead, Holly felt something inside him respond. A heat in his chest. A memory that didn't belong to him. He saw stars turning red. A sky filled with symbols. A hand reaching out. A name whispered in light. He gasped and staggered forward. Sayari caught him before he fell. The cradle is calling, she said. And you are beginning to hear it. The shuttle broke through the planet's cloud layer with a low rumble, dipping fast toward the ocean below. Waves stretched endlessly in all directions, their surfaces calm and silver under the morning light. But somewhere below that still water, the cradle waited. Alara guided the shuttle from the pilot seat, fingers moving fast over cracked controls. Coordinates locked, she said. Autopilot is taking us down. We'll reach drop point in less than 5 minutes. Sayari stood. Behind her, silent, watching the ocean grow closer. Her hands were pressed together as if in prayer. The glow on her skin pulsed gently, in rhythm with the mark on Hale's hand. Hale sat by the viewing panel, eyes fixed on the endless sea. This is where it ends, he said quietly. Or where it begins again. Rylos checked the rifle in his lap. And this cradle. Are we just going to knock and ask it to open? No, Sayari replied. You will not open it. It will open for him. If he is ready. The shuttle slowed as it hovered over a small, lonely island. Barely more than a rock, no trees, no signs of life. But the scanner showed a deep shaft underneath, buried far below the seabed. Ilara looked back. We land here. The signal is strongest from this point. They stepped out onto the stone, the wind loud and cold. Waves crashed around the islands. Base. Sayari walked forward and knelt, placing her hands on the rough surface. Her voice rose again, not loud, but steady. A faint hum answered from below. The rock trembled slightly, then split in a perfect circle. A metal ring rose slowly, covered in ancient writing. Inside it was a platform, a lift made of dark stone. And light. Sayari stood and looked at Hale. Only you may enter. The cradle will not allow others. But I will stay connected from here. Hale's heart pounded. He stepped toward the platform. And what if I fail? Sayari met his eyes. You won't, because you're not just one man anymore. You are the echo of a promise the stars have not forgotten. He nodded and stepped into the center. The platform lit up, and with a deep hum, it began to lower into the earth. Darkness swallowed him quickly, but he felt no fear. The mark on. His hand glowed brighter with each meter down. He passed through layers of stone, metal, and something else. Something warm and living. Lights pulsed on the walls, following his descent. Finally, the lift stopped in a vast underground chamber, glowing with soft blue energy. In the center stood a single pillar. Floating above it was a sphere of light, spinning slowly. Symbols danced across its surface, changing each second. Holly stepped forward. The mark on his hand pulsed again. The sphere responded with a soft tone. A voice filled the chamber. "Bearer of the bond, you have come. You are late, but not forgotten. Touch the memory and remember who you were meant to be." Holly reached out. His fingers brushed the sphere. Light exploded around him. Not pain, but memory. Not images, but understanding. A flood of truth filled his mind. He saw himself not as a soldier, but as a thread in a web that spanned galaxies. He saw the first rift, the fall of peace, the guardians fading, the bond hidden in human blood to protect it from those who would misuse it. And he saw Sayari watching, waiting, remembering. He collapsed to one knee, gasping. The voice spoke. "Again, do not fear what you are. The bond lives through choice, through sacrifice, through love. You are the first in many generations to accept the burden willingly. Now awaken the cradle." The light flowed into him. His veins lit up. The mark on his hand burned like a star. He stood, changed, not in body but in spirit. He placed both hands on the pillar. The ground shook. The chamber pulsed. Above, the ocean roared louder. Back on the island, Sayari cried out and dropped to her knees. "He has touched the source. The cradle is alive." Alara stared at the island. Beneath her feet, the scanners are going crazy. Something is rising. Something big. The ocean around the island pulled back. A giant structure emerged from the depths, metal and stone, covered in glowing vines and old markings. It was not a ship. It was not a weapon. It was a signal tower. A beacon meant to restore what had been lost. Rylos raised his weapon, eyes wide. "What is that?" Sayari stood, wiping a tear. "It is the memory of peace. And now, all who see it will know the bond has returned." Suddenly, the sky darkened. Enemy ships appeared on the horizon, dozens of them, fast and armed. They had tracked the signal. They were coming to end it before it could spread. Alara turned to Sayari. "What do we do?" Sayari looked up at the growing shadow. "We protect him. He is still inside. If they reach the cradle before it fully awakens, they will destroy everything." Rylos pointed at the shuttle. "We've got weapons, not a fleet. We can't stop all of them." "No," Sayari said. "But the bond is not alone. Others will feel it now. Others will come. We only need to hold the line long enough." Below, in the heart of the earth, Holly opened his eyes. His body hummed with power. Not strength of muscle, but strength of memory. He stepped back onto the lift. It rose fast, guided by the cradles. Light. His hands shimmered with energy. As the platform reached the surface, the air cracked with thunder. The enemy ships fired the first shot. It raced toward the island like a comet. But it never reached. Holly stepped out and raised his hand. The light from the cradle pulsed once, and the blast vanished in midair, not blocked, not destroyed. Simply gone. Sayari smiled through tears. "You heard it. You became it." Holly nodded. "Let them come. I'm ready now." The sky was filled with fire as the enemy fleet descended toward the ocean cradle. Dozens of warships glowed with weapons primed to strike. But on the island below, Holly stood calmly, one hand glowing with the light of the awakened bond. Sayari stood beside him, eyes locked on the growing storm. "They come in fear," she said. "Not of you, but of what you now carry." Rylos took position behind a shielded boulder, rifle ready. "We've got 30 seconds before they open fire." "Again, what's the plan?" Holly stepped forward onto the edge of the rising platform. "I don't want to kill them," he said. "But I won't let them erase this either," Sayari nodded. Then speak, not with words, but with the voice they forgot. He closed his eyes. The mark on his palm blazed. A hum filled the air, rising from the center of his chest. The cradle behind him pulsed brighter. All around the island, the ocean stilled as if waiting to listen. The first missiles came screaming down. The sound shook the air. Rylos raised his weapon. Alara ducked. But Hale lifted one hand, and a barrier of light rose around them. The missiles vanished into silence, as if swallowed by the sky itself. The fleet hesitated. More ships moved into formation, but now their systems were blinking. Malfunctions spread through their weapons. Commands scrambled. Engines flickered. Inside the lead ship, General Ovrak stared at the display. "What is this?" he shouted. "Why are the targeting systems offline?" A technician turned, pale and shaking. "It's not interference, sir. It's a signal, a pulse spreading through every channel. It's not blocking us. It's rewriting us." Sayari looked up at the sky. "They hear it, even now. The bond remembers them too." Hale took a deep breath and spread both arms. The energy in him burst outward like a second sunrise. The signal wasn't just a sound, it was a memory. A truth that couldn't be shut out. Every living thing with breath could feel it. On distant planets, children looked up and felt calm for the first time in days. Soldiers lowered their weapons, unsure why their rage had vanished. Captains canceled attacks, confused by the wave of warmth moving through their bones. Back on the island, the enemy fleet began to change formation. Ships pulled back, weapons powered down. The light from the cradle reached them, not as force, but as invitation. A reminder of what they used to protect, not destroy. Sayari stepped beside Hala. "You did not destroy them. You reminded them." "That is stronger than fire." Rylos looked around in disbelief. "Are they retreating?" Alara checked the scanners. "No, they're landing. Not to fight. To listen." Small dropships touched down on the nearby water, their engines silent. One of the armored commanders stepped forward, slowly, hands empty. His helmet retracted. He looked at Hale with wide, confused eyes. "You carry the light," he said. "I felt it. It hurt, then it healed." "I don't understand." "You don't need to," Hale said. "You just need to remember. This wasn't about control. It was about connection. You lost that. We all did." The commander fell to one knee. "Then command was wrong. We were wrong." Others followed, dozens of them. Warriors who had been bred to conquer now lowered themselves before a human soldier with nothing but truth in his hands. Sayari turned to the cradle. "It is done. The bond has returned to balance." But the cradle pulsed once more. A message not of peace, but warning. Hale stepped back as the light changed. "What is it?" Sayari placed a hand on the glowing pillar. "The cradle has seen beyond this world. The bond was not just broken here. Others will come, from far systems, not for peace, but to claim. Then we prepare," Hale said. "This time we won't hide. We'll build, not bury. We'll connect the voices again." Sayari looked at him with calm pride. "You are no longer just soldier, you are the guide. And wherever you walk, the stars will remember," Alara smiled. "Then we start now. We rebuild Veon 6, we let this place become more than a grave." Rylos looked at the kneeling warriors. "I never thought I'd see this. Not in my lifetime." Hale stepped down from the platform. "Let's make sure others do." He looked toward the horizon. The sea glowed faintly beneath a calmer sky. The signal tower stood tall behind him, no longer hidden. A reminder to all who passed that the war had ended not through power, but by one man choosing to understand instead of destroy. Sayari walked beside him, their steps light on the stone. The mark on his palm glowed in sync with hers. She didn't need to say anything more. He understood now. The language of the bond wasn't speech. It was feeling, trust, memory, and in every step they took together, the galaxy healed a little more. Veon 6 was no longer a colony of war-torn halls and broken towers. Months had passed since the cradle awakened. The sea around the island had calmed. Its waters now shimmered with soft blue light every night, like it remembered the peace that had returned. Ships from many worlds came, not to fight, but to learn. Diplomats, builders, scientists, and old warriors stood on the same ground that once burned. The memory of fire had not vanished, but it had become the soil where something new could grow. Halle stood on the high platform, looking down at the new settlement rising along the coast. Buildings shaped by both human hands and alien designs stood side by side. Children from different species played together near the edge of the water. Sayari stood beside him, wearing a new robe stitched by human tailors. She had not changed much in appearance, but something in her posture had softened. She no longer looked like a guardian carrying centuries of sorrow. She looked like a woman walking toward tomorrow. "The bond is spreading," she said quietly. "Even to those who doubted. Even to those who feared it most." Halle nodded. "It doesn't need to be forced. It just needs to be remembered." The mark on his hand no longer glowed constantly. It lit up only when the cradle called him, or when others reached out to understand. He had become more than a symbol. He had become a bridge. Alara approached. With a tablet in her hand, "We got another request," she said. 3 more worlds asking to send people to study the cradle. One of them was an enemy world during the war. Rylos followed behind her, still wearing his armor, though with a new crest over his shoulder, a symbol of peace wrapped in a circle of stars. "That's the 4th request this week. You've created something we were never trained to handle. A future." Sayari smiled. "Not just him, all of you. The bond chose him to begin. But it spreads only if others carry it too." A signal buzzed in Alara's come. She answered quickly, her face tightening. "We have incoming ships, but these aren't registered. No flags, no response to calls. Their path is direct." Halle turned his eyes to the sky. Dark streaks cut across the clouds. He didn't feel the bond from them. No pulse, no warmth. Just silence. Sayari's expression grew grim. "They come from beyond the reach. I warned this day would come. They are not fallen friends. They are claimers. They believe the cradle belongs to them by right of strength." Raylos raised his rifle and checked its power. "Then we defend it, same as before." "No," Halle said. "Not the same. This time we don't wait for war to come. We send the bond first." He walked to the edge of the platform, lifted his hand, and closed his eyes. The pulse within him responded, a signal brighter than any light. A wave of memory strong enough to cross the stars. He sent not fear, not warnings, but truth. He showed them what happened. He showed them the war, the moment of peace, the voice of the cradle. He offered understanding, not surrender. The ships paused in the sky. Minutes passed. Then one of the crafts broke away and descended slowly. It landed near the shore. A single figure emerged tall, armored, but unarmed. Its face was hidden by a silver helm, but its steps were not aggressive. It walked like one listening. Sayari moved forward with Halle. The alien removed the helm. Its face was strange, with no mouth, only glowing patterns where eyes should be. It spoke without sound. The cradle answered. A ring of light formed between them. The figure stepped into it. The light passed through its body. Then it bowed. Sayari smiled. They listened. Not all will. But this one did. And that is enough. The rest of the fleet turned away, vanishing into the clouds. They had seen. They had chosen not to fight. Not out of weakness, but because someone dared to show them another path. Ilara lowered her weapon and let out a breath. "I can't believe it worked," Rylos chuckled. "We were soldiers once. Now we're something else. I still don't know what to call it. Halle stepped down and looked around the gathering crowd. People from many species stood shoulder to shoulder. Not in silence, but in trust. He raised both hands. Call it what you want, but it starts with listening. It grows by protecting. And it survives through remembering. Sayari reached out and took his hand. The glow between them was no longer just a mark. It was a promise made visible. One they had both chosen to carry. The cradle behind them pulsed once more. A soft, warm sound like a heartbeat, and across the stars, that sound was heard.